Welcome to Dad's DeFi Space. I'm Kevin, and I'm so grateful that you are taking a moment out of your day to spend it with me. But before we begin with today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell to help get the word out to everyone out there. We are getting closer and closer to 500 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And we definitely have a lot more returning viewers than we do that are subscribed to the channel. So if you appreciate this content, or if you've learned something from today's video, please consider subscribing to Dad's DeFi Space, and check out our webpage at dadsdefispace.org, and find me on X, CryptoZone1013, or Dad DeFi 1013 on Telegram. In today's video, we are going to look at the importance of Bitcoin as a financial vehicle to promote freedom, help us hedge against inflation, and create more financial inclusion for everybody, not just the big players in the world or in this space. Why should an investor consider investing in the first place? It's to protect the value of our hard work and our assets that's being inflated away by the governments of the world. The more and more governments print money, the less value that our savings, our paychecks have. What's interesting is, if you are to take your savings, what you can afford, and that you put that money to work for you, whether that is in real estate, collectibles, the stock market, bonds, doesn't matter. Those are your more traditional vehicles.
Before we go any farther, I wanted to take a look at inflation and deflation. Going all the way back to 98, back when I was just starting college, $20 would buy almost a shopping cart full of groceries, give or take. A little bit less in 2005, a little bit less in 2014. And I know many of you all out there feel that pain today. Bitcoin helps us to retain not just ownership of our assets, but the value of that asset. One Bitcoin from 2012 could buy you next to nothing at the grocery store. A little bit more in 13 and 14. But in 2024, one Bitcoin could basically buy you a Tesla Cybertruck. Now, you wouldn't catch me buying a Cybertruck, but you get the point. But I feel that this meme really sums up my conviction in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is the most decentralized asset in existence. Its network has a size that renders it unhackable, theoretically. We're not going to get into the details of that in this video, but just understand that it is the most secure network, the most decentralized network, meaning there's not someone who can just turn off the switch of Bitcoin. And at this point, its market cap has grown to an extent that it cannot be stopped. So, what is decentralized? Decentralization just means you or I or any other entity cannot control Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Or excuse me, Bitcoin. But is decentralization the only reason we can support Bitcoin? Bitcoin, because of its inherent low level of inflation compared to any other currency, it has a potential for high returns. Now, if you go further out the risk curve into the altcoin space, the potentials are even higher, although so is the risk. Now, before we go any farther into this video, I want you to understand that none of this information is financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a dad who enjoys investing and experimentation in the crypto and DeFi space. Please do your own research, build your strong convictions, and never, ever invest more than you can afford to lose. Now let's get back to the video. Now, other things we can look at. Not only can Bitcoin have a potential of high returns, but it acts as a hedge against inflation. Now, if you've been in this space and you have not read the Bitcoin standard, you do need to read the Bitcoin standard just to understand the history of economics and the history of money, the inevitable collapse of all fiat currencies, and why Bitcoin is revolutionary and helps to promote freedom. Now, Bitcoin is a permissionless peer-to-peer exchange. Yes, make sure to read that 9-page white paper on Bitcoin. It is made for us to have monetary transactions without asking permission from the government or any other business or entity. We control our own assets. We control our own value. This means that finance, our money, can never, ever be used against us as blackmail. What's crazy is that Bitcoin doesn't care where you live, what your race is, your gender, anything. There is global access to Bitcoin to anyone with an internet connection, a computer, or a phone. Now, it's this global access, permissionless, and the privacy aspects of Bitcoin and many cryptocurrencies is what got me interested in this space in the first place. Now, like many, I got to crypto and Bitcoin during COVID or slightly before COVID. Made a lot of mistakes. I remember it was an article I read on ADA, which I'm not as invested in as I used to be, and how ADA was being traded by certain individuals in sub-Saharan Africa, and it allowed them a way to build some sort of nest egg, some kind of wealth, maybe to get out of their situation. I was amazed. Now, this global access is what we came to realize is that this helps to create financial inclusion. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter anything. Anyone can become a part of the Bitcoin network, start transacting, and not have to ask for permission anymore.
Now, this wouldn't be a Dad's DeFi space video without throwing a little bit of chart action into it. You're looking at Ethereum valued in Bitcoin. The reason I want to show you this is everything bleeds back into Bitcoin at some point in time. Now, Ethereum has broken every single line of support. Our trend channel at around 0.03. That was March 24th. We broke our yellow trend again, and we are actually a nice amount below our trend line, sitting at around 0.018. We could actually go a little lower if you zoom out. Down here, we were looking at, let's see, 0.0, give or take, let's say 0.017, 0.016. So ETH could still go down. ETH could still go down a little bit more, and it would not surprise me. Why am I showing you this chart in a Bitcoin video, though? Is because since 2022, Ethereum has bled to Bitcoin. And when you're looking at the altcoin market, if you're considering investing in Ethereum, you should always see its relationship in Bitcoin value. If it isn't stronger than Bitcoin, then what would be the purpose of investing in it in the first place? And it's not just Ethereum, right? Take a look at this. Let's look at AVAX, BTC. Yeah. I would call that a pretty massive downtrend, wouldn't you? A very massive downtrend, actually. And I mean, we could take a look at almost any altcoin. Let's try, I don't know, Sway to BTC. That's been a strong one. See if we can find something that's stronger than Bitcoin. Now, this one doesn't look near as bad, right? I see a nice line of support right here, right? And at the same time, this was a pretty bad downtrend from January all the way to, well, April. So Sway has been in a downtrend with Bitcoin for a long time until just recently, right? You could take a look at Solana and BTC down. You could take a look at, I don't know, Toncoin and BTC. That's what we used to look at quite a bit. Oh, shoot, looks terrible. All of us out there would have been better off for the last bit to be heavily into Bitcoin. Thank God that most of this time I stayed 50% Bitcoin. We're sitting around 40 right now. But I'd show you this is one day we're going to more than likely value our assets in Bitcoin. And what we're going to be looking for is what asset is the strongest against Bitcoin. And out of all these we looked at, I would say possibly Sway. How about this one? TRX or Tron. Actually, this one looks pretty good on with its valuation of Bitcoin. Definitely range bound here and to here. That might have been a good one to provide liquidity for. It wasn't on my radar, but as you can see, it can change your perspective if you value your portfolio in Bitcoin.
But that brings us to the conclusion that the decentralized nature of Bitcoin and the permissionless networks and protocols within DeFi systems allow us to be the bank. And when you're the bank, you have freedom. You don't have to ask permission. To me, it seems like a win-win. More freedom, opportunities for growth, protection against inflation. What more could we ask for? But that brings us to the end of the video. I would like to say thank you for taking some time out of your day to spend it with me. Check out our links. Check out our links from Weeks, Tangem Wallet, and the Underdog Investment Group helps support the channel. $20,000 of USDT rewards on Weeks, non KYC exchange. Tangem to store our Bitcoin and cryptos safely. And the Underdog Investment Group, if you're serious about upping your DeFi game in one of the best private communities in the DeFi space, tell them that Dad's DeFi Space sent you, and that's $50 extra USDT and 20% off your first month. Let's promote freedom. I'm investing in Bitcoin. And remember, none of this is financial advice, and I hope you have an awesome, grateful day. Peace.